Acapella. Today we're going to be doing a top 5 favorite Green Lantern episodes. And this was suggested by, I cannot pronounce username handles for the life of me, especially if they have just random letters in them, so you know who you are. Thank you for the video suggest. So first of all, I actually was able to narrow down these to my top 5 because, I mean, if you like an entire show, it's hard to narrow it down. It's not as epic as top 10, but it's gonna be harder to like only pick half the show as your favorite instead of like 5 as in the ones that stand out to me the most. So these ones are episodes that I actually go back and watch fairly frequently on repeat / they stand out to me the most. Let's get started. So in the number 5 section, we have Babel. So this one's kind of a weird choice for me because like this is right after something very dramatic happens. Spoilers, this is right after Aya turns evil, and just all of a sudden from all this intense drama stuff, we just have them stranded on this planet just kind of chilling. But I think it's hilarious because one of the things I love is it's also kind of world building. Because they talked about like universal translators and stuff like that before, and the fact that their rings do that, but they never like talked about what it'd be like if they didn't have their universal translators working until that episode.
Me, Hal.
Boozer.
Right.
And there's just a lot of moments where like the stakes just get higher and higher. So first of all, they're drifting in space without any power, and then their ship is like crash landing into this planet, and then after they manage to like kill Razor's battery trying to save the ship, they find out after they crash that the atmosphere is toxic, and then they're running out of their lantern batteries, and so they find this little like town place, and they hate Green Lanterns, and so they're stuck and they have to sneak inside, and then Hal and Kilowog's rings run out, and then Razor has to translate, and luckily they got in before Razor's power battery ran out, so then they didn't like die, and then they're just trying to find their way out. So I don't know, there's just the escalation of just, oh, this is kind of bad, oh, this is really bad, oh no, they're gonna die, okay, they're not gonna die, but this is still pretty bad. It's funny that we get the perspective of Hal, where like, we understand what he's talking about, but then actually it's funny watching it Razor and Kilowog and remembering, even when they understand what he's saying, most of the time they don't understand what he's talking about. Like he'll like talk about like credit cards or make references to like Earth things. I can't think of any example right now, but like it's kind of funny that you get to like relate to Razor and Kilowog more because you know like, oh wait, no, they always don't know what he's talking about. There's a lot of like funny little moments in this episode.
So Kilowog, is that formal wear or just something you threw together?
The turkey, Hanaseka?
He said he likes your outfit.
You talk softly of Mana Ganki.
What?
He likes yours too.
He's like, I just hate every second of this. I kind of have a cold, so if my voice kind of gets weird, that's why. Another part I liked about that episode, Kilowog and Hal find this Manhunter head, and they realize they can charge the rings off of it because it's made with Green Lantern energy, right? Then after Hal uses it, he gives it to Kilowog so then he can charge his ring, and then Kilowog throws it to Razor, which feels really natural, and Razor goes, Kilowog just has this moment where he's like, oops. Kilowog just has this moment where he just forgets Razor isn't a Green Lantern. He accidentally shows that he fully accepts Razor as an ally, like just kind of in a small way. After they get their rings charged, like Hal like punches the monster thing that they're fighting, and Kilowog like smashes it with a hammer, and Razor runs up to it. He throws it, and like the clink sound and the way it drops, and just like the split second where you're like, did that do anything?
There once was a ship that put to sea.
Whenever I watch that episode, whenever they're talking, like Razor or Kilowog are talking in another language, I always like to imagine what they're saying. It's really fun. My 4th favorite. Now that the caffeine's hitting my brains like. Number 4. Cold Fury. I like a lot of the ones from the second half of the season, but this one's one, it's a shift between the Manhunter threat and like Aya being a threat, and also like just the whole falling out of their relationship in that moment is just so heart-wrenching and just really relatable, honestly. There's this moment where Razor is the most honest with Hal he's ever been.
Do you share my opinion that the sweet embrace of death would be welcome today?
No, I do not.
After Alana was killed, I had nothing left. I lost the will to go on.
But you survived.
I knew if I just gave up, Ilana would disapprove.
Well, I wouldn't approve either. Or she'd at least tell you why your logic was faulty.
That was the first time that Razor actually confided in Hal, which is important because like Razor kind of felt like, I don't know, before when Aya was around, like he was like, okay, someone else knows my secret, so that's kind of uncomfortable. But now that she's gone, he's like, no one else understands. So he confides in Hal. It's kind of a sweet brotherly moment. One thing I don't like about this episode is how annoying that one Guardian lady is, the Scar lady. She's like incredibly annoying. I'm like, no. And also like Zox is on the ship too. I'm like, why are you here? You two are like the most annoying characters ever. It's so annoying. I think it's really annoying. If you guys like have a Zox and like Scar fan club, like you guys can go ahead, but I will respectfully not participate. I don't want to think about that fan club. One thing that was just really interesting too is just that moment where like Aya comes back, she's like, hello, I'm back, in a Manhunter body, and Razor's just like, oh, you're just a machine. It's the first time that like he's actually really honest with her. In Fear Itself, like she's like, can I help you with your Red Lantern oath? And he's like, fine. And then he uses the oath that she wrote and she's like, did it work? And he's like, yeah, good job, honey. And then she leaves and he's like, it didn't work.
Have you recharged?
Yes. Thank you, Aya.
There was no honesty in their interactions. Like, okay, there was some honesty, but it wasn't genuine. There was always struggles and things being held back. I mean, even in their first interaction where she's literally in his brain and he can't hide anything from her, that's not really genuine. He's not actually being like, here's a part of my past, here's a part of my story. He's just like, well, you just kind of walked in. Nice for you. Go away. Even though it's the most tragic interaction they've had, like in the entire show, it's the first time he's been actually like brutally honest with her, even though it was like really painful and just ouch. It's hard to watch. It's like, no, don't tell her that. But also, it's how he feels.
You are just a machine, and I can never love you. I am so sorry.
That moment is just one that makes that episode stand out to me. I just think it's so relatable. Aya's downward spiral into just pain and just being like, I don't want to feel pain. Maybe I can just cut off all my feelings, and that doesn't work because if you just try to cut off what you're feeling, you just take those feelings of pain and rechannel them, and it's relatable, and it's also like, I know you're making it worse. You're just gonna hurt worse. I also think it's kind of interesting how Aya goes to Hal first after this really like painful interaction with Razor. She's like, I'm gonna go talk to Hal because like he's basically her foster father almost, because like he named her and he is her biggest influence when it comes to like decision making and free will, almost like how she learned how to use her free will. And also like he rescued her from being like dissected and stuff like that. So just we get to see that connection with Hal, and it's kind of interesting to remember like, oh yeah, with all this drama with Razor, the person that she can confide in is Hal. Oh, such a tragic episode, but it's so good. Number 3, Lost. To me, you can't really watch Cold Fury without watching Lost first, and when you watch Lost, you have to watch Cold Fury next. Okay, this is just me as like a Razor and Aya fan, but like I definitely like all of their best episodes. And I feel like Lost is one of their best episodes. First of all, it's kind of interesting that it was the first time they've ever went to Valkyrie. Razor had memories of Valkyrie, but he never actually was there throughout the show until this episode. It was actually kind of a nice tie-in. Oh, okay, correction. When I was talking about Cold Fury and saying that that was their first honest interaction, I would say that this one also had an interaction that was also really honest, because even though like Razor didn't really have all of his feelings figured out, from what he did have figured out, he was pretty honest with her, being like, I feel like I've gotten over everything. I'm mourning Alana, but like I feel like that's kind of behind me and I'm a different person now, even though he still really struggles with being angry and honestly still has the most sassiest attitude of the crew. I feel like this actually was the first honest conversation that he's had. And then in Cold Fury, it's also honest, but it also is painful. Like, it's him being honest about his confusion, but not really knowing how to put that in a way that doesn't absolutely crush her. So I guess this one and Cold Fury are very hand in hand. Once again, you can't have one without the other, which is unfortunate because I don't want it to be so tragic, but it is. Also, one thing that's really like kind of a bummer about Lost is like they were going to kiss in that episode and then like they were like so close and then they get interrupted. I'm like, and then they never kiss. I'm like, well, okay, not that like I need that to like survive, it's just like, why do the writers have to hurt me? Because she like dies at the end of the show, and then there's just this moment where you watch that episode again, you watch Lost again, and you watch them like almost kiss, you're just like, and they never ever actually kiss. This is as close as it gets. That's so sad. There's another really funny moment where they're trying to save the Red Lantern people from the Manhunters, and then like Razor like crash lands right next to Zox, and Zox like, what are you doing back here? And he's like, I'm the Prime Magistrate, whatever. What are you doing? And he's like,
Nothing is going on, Prime Magistrate.
and he has like this most like sassy like attitude. And he's just like, this is so annoying that you're Prime Magistrate. The small moment where like Razor and Zox still 100% like hate each other. Oh, another part is when they first go to, I don't remember what that planet's called. The Red Lantern planet. I don't remember what it's called. Yzmalt. Is that how you pronounce it?
Ismalt.
So anyways, they just get to Yzmalt or whatever. And like the Guardian Scar annoying lady is like, you have to go do what I want you to do. Oh my gosh, the Aya program. She's here? Why is she here? And there's this moment where like, she's talking about, she refers to Aya as like a thing, and she's like, this thing is gonna make this mission more difficult and stuff like that. And there's this body language thing that happens with Razor and Aya, and it's a super great detail where Scar just absolutely like tearing down Aya right in front of her, and Aya's posture kind of weakens, and she's just like, aww. And Razor does almost the exact opposite. He pulls his shoulders back and he crosses his arms, and he's like, don't talk about her that way. The Guardian lady looks at Hal and is like, you have to agree with me, like that this robot's a problem. And Razor looks at Hal like, back us up. And then like Hal's like, yeah, no, stop picking on Aya. I don't know, there was just this dialogue that happened through the animation that I think is just brilliant.
You came back for me.
Always. Distance too great.
Aya, don't go. I love you.
In the number 2 place, we have Reckoning. This one is one of my favorites. This is one of the ones that like I watch on repeat. Not like over and over and over and over, but I like, whenever I'm like, man, I want to watch Green Lantern, but I only like want to watch like one episode, I always like, Reckoning's one of those ones where I'm just like, I'm just gonna turn this one on because it's funny. It's not funny because it's good. It's not funny. First of all, Razor says one of the most iconic lines that he says ever.
Congratulations. After weeks of stalking Shard, you've unlocked the secret of when they dumped their garbage. Can total victory be far behind?
And it's just like the sass that just emanates from that line. Also, fun fact, that's one of Jason Spizak's favorite lines that he said in the show. So that's another one where I'm always like, thinking of you, Jason. Actually, this is the episode where like Aya, it's the first time Aya's ever tried to like talk to him since she looked in his memories, right? This is the first time she's ever like confronted him and is like, this isn't, being evil isn't who you are. Like, she's like, I'm not gonna like bring up your past or anything, but I know that you're better than this. And there's just that moment where like, he's like, no, I'm not better than this. I'm a bad person. And it's just like, ooh, dang. Throughout like the first however many episodes was before this one, he's been basically wishing he was dead since episode 2.
You'll live with the consequences of what you've done.
No! You must kill me! I'm the one responsible for all this death and destruction! I deserve it! Fools. For what I have done, they should execute me.
I do not understand your desire for self-destruction.
Try something like that again, and I'm blowing my ring charge on you. Pinhole or no pinhole.
I'm not afraid to die.
My bet is he went to settle his score with Atrocitus.
Then he should have made funeral arrangements, because that's a one-way ticket.
And he knows it. Which is why we have to stop him.
This is one of the episodes where he's like, I'm gonna go die. Bye, guys. It's like, don't do that. He actually maybe thought it was possible to kill Atrocitus, but he kind of also knew is like, I probably won't be able to kill him. This is just a very sad attempt.
I know you'd willingly die today, but do you have the strength to live for a cause? Because we sure could use you right now.
This is the second time ever like Hal and Kilowog actually like let Aya come with them on their adventures. Like before she was just kind of like, either she was just kind of in the ship being like, or like left without permission and did her own thing without permission. Or, you know, Razor convinced her, it's like, it's okay if you do this without permission. You have to help me. I need to leave the ship. I am tired of being in here. This is the first time they've ever, like, tasked her with a job as well in a mission, because before in Lost Planet, they were just like, you can come with us on this planet, and, like, they didn't really, like, ask her to do anything courageous or spectacular. Also, the battle between Razor and Atrocitus is kind of great. There's this one shot that, like, I love so much, where like it's after like Atrocitus was like,
It was I who slaughtered your precious Ilana.
There's this moment of like surprise and pain and anguish and anger that just like flashes on Razor's face, and it was just so well animated. It gives me chills. It's This episode was the first time Razor actually like referred to Aya as Aya and not just, hey, computer.
I'll get the Aya, I'll get her.
So cute. Well, this is sad. I ran out. I also love the moment where, like, I don't know, it's kind of a sequel to the interaction they had earlier on in the episode where she's like, don't go, you're better than this. And then when Razor's like, I'm gonna kill Atrocitus, and Aya's like, no, I need to go back to the Interceptor. It's better for us if I bring this information there immediately and you don't waste time killing Atrocitus. You're better than this. She encourages him to be stronger than how he's feeling in that moment. It's a really powerful moment. Also, I can't get over, like, there's some things where I'm like, there's some things that some people say that I'm just like, the voice actor says the line just right. The way that Razor says you die now, like, I don't even want to like attempt it because it's so perfect.
You die now.
The way he says that, I could listen to that on repeat. That could be my text tone. It's not my text tone. My text tone is something else. There's also this other moment at the end of the episode before Hal like totally like cusses out Razor. Like, Razor looks kind of sad. He's like, oh no, the robot's broken because of me. And then like after Hal scolds him, he's like mad and he's like, and it's like, oh buddy, yeah, you shouldn't have done that. You know it. Yeah, you feel bad, man. Because it's cute looking. Oh, the part where like Hal and Kilowog are like in the back room trying to like change into like the Red Lantern Guard outfits and like Kilowog can't even get the helmet on his head. It was funny. Here we will have a couple honorable mentions before I reveal the last one.
I am Saint Walker, and you are?
About to kick your smug rear.
That is not a very pleasant name. Not in the least.
You got a problem with me.
Do you have a problem with you?
That's impossible. This thing isn't a living being. It's a robot. It's not able to learn or grow or feel pain. It doesn't have a soul.
Is that your belief? That robots are not beings worthy of respect?
In the number one spot is Prisoner of Sinestro, because I think that one reminds me so much of like monster movies, and like it's really actually like written pretty suspensefully. And it's kind of funny how they kind of fake you out too, where it's like, oh, Sinestro, isn't he kind of like a bad guy? And then like he like kind of turns bad and you're like, oh, that's Sinestro, you can't trust Sinestro. And then all of a sudden Razor turns bad and you're like, we couldn't trust him at first, but we can trust him now. So why is he acting so creepy? And there's just a couple of shots in that episode where they're very like monster movie-ish. I love watching their facial expressions as the alien kind of hops around. After Hal takes the gun away from Razor, there's this moment where Razor's like has this really aggressive look on his face, and then it fades as he's just like, I don't know what's going on. And then Hal's face is like, yeah, I'm the bad guy now. I think it's also really funny how you understand Hal's influence when it comes to like doing what you want and like calling your own shots. That definitely comes from Thal. It also is kind of funny that they like reference the Spider Guild again. Just kind of is like, oh, these guys still exist. When I was a kid, I was like, why is Razor being so creepy? I don't understand what's going on. The reason that Neuroxys possessed Razor is so then he could see if he can mind jump to Aya, but then he realizes, oh, I can't. Well, I'll just take the gun then. Oh man, and then at the end of the episode, kind of as a like callback to that.
Did I do anything strange while under the influence of Neuroxys?
Other than trying to kill your fellow Green Lanterns?
Yes. Did I harm you?
Ooh. Maybe he was like, if Neuroxys knew anything, he could have been really nasty to Aya. That moment of being like, are you okay? Do we need to talk about anything? And then she was like,
I should have known you were not yourself.
Why?
You expressed interest in spending time with me.
so painful. Anyways, but another thing that like is like wild about that episode is like this is, first of all, I love the part where like Hal and Kilowog and Razor are like, you're the alien. No, you're the alien. And you can like actually like tell who's the alien when.
If you can make a construct, the alien isn't controlling you.
There.
Well, this is silly.
Make a construct. Prove that you can.
A construct?
See? He won't make a construct. He's the alien, Razor. Kill him!
Whoa, Hal, that's not you. It's just really well made where like you could actually track it, but it's also kind of like, where's it gonna go next? And then like the part where like Razor like almost dies. One of the things that's interesting about this show is only a few characters actually die, but there's so many moments where you're like, that character could have died. And that was one of those moments where I was watching it I remember watching it for the first time being like, are they really gonna kill him? No, this can't happen. He's my favorite. There's this moment at the end of the episode where Sinestro is like showing his true colors and he's like, yeah, Neuroxys, die. It makes me wish that if they made a season 2, they had Sinestro actually like being called out for actually not being a good individual. Like, it makes me wonder if in this show they could have had him be banned to a Spider Guild prison. He probably could make a Yellow Lantern ring at the Spider Guild prison and then bust out and then create the Yellow Lantern Corps. Anyways, just kind of, it makes me really wish, I'm like, man, that's one of the things I would have loved to have seen, because they set up the yellow rocks and they set up, sorry, what is that called thing? What is that called? Aurum. They set up the presence of like the yellow aurum, and then they also were like, oh, sinestro. And it was like, dang, I really wish they had like actually like created the yellow lanterns in this show. It would have been cool. Anyways, that's my top 5. It's really, once again, it's really hard to pick 5, and I think that's the order they're in. Once again, I'm really indecisive when it comes to, oh, this is the #1 best. And this opinion could change next week. It's just this week I'm like, yeah, these are my top 5. So tell me what you think. What are your top 5 favorite episodes? I'd love to hear more about your guys' opinions. Thanks again for this video idea, and it's really fun to have feedback and get some suggestions. And I had a lot of fun making this episode. Have a nice day and nerd out with me about Green Lanterns more because it's fun. Okay, bye.